being said, our first match of the day is going to be our last winners match of EMEA. Yes, everybody. It's going to be SRP Czech versus Virtus Pro in Group D. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be an exciting match. Virtus Pro. I feel like I saw them in EWC. They were definitely, turning heads. And SRP Czech as well, an exciting team nonetheless. So for you guys, Mitch and Kevin, you guys both highlighted these teams when we're talking about EMEA teams to watch out for. Who do you guys think is going to win?
SRP Czech are a gatekeeper team. And this is going to be a skill check for Virtus Pro in a big way. They know what they're going to be playing against. Cloudy is just a Ryan.
Cloudy!
Like he's an incredibly aggressive Ryan player. Someone that even Hardy says, like, I'm forced to mirror Ryan against him because I can't really play against it. This also means that Cloudy is specifically experienced in playing Ryan against hostile tank matchups. That means he plays against the Dive, either Winston or D.Va. Doomfist a lot in this particular series, as Icenon was constantly switching the Doom to try and, frustrate and displace the Ryan. Also, Fire, obviously, there's a Mei and Sim comp here that works really well for this team. It is very EU, but it is extremely durable and good at falling back into safe positions that are covered by these Sim turrets. You'll notice that Danid likes to set those up in the fallback spots so that diving teams get punished pretty quickly. I do think that it's a style that's very solid. Some maps, it's absolutely trash. It's awful on Dorado, and they will still play it. So there are definitely maps. If Virtus Pro do drop maps, they just pick dive maps and watch SRP Czech flounder.
Yeah, there's plenty of the places that VP can go to, and on this roster as well, there are some particular members that can really, I think, abuse the lineup of SRP Czech. And I'm looking at Sauna because this is a guy that's played a ton of Fire. He's going to come through on stuff like the Echo as well. Tracer is what's going to be highlighted here. One of the key comps is going to be playing Tracer plus the Ashe. Shockwave, I'm pretty sure, is just going to play Ashe essentially the entire way through. He might drop in the odd castle or two, but honestly, it's probably just going to end up being the Ashe. I hope they have something in store for us, SRP Czech, because they're a known quality. Like, you know what you're going up against. You know exactly what SRP Czech are going to play. So far, SRP Czech have played a Danid Symmetra every single time. I mean, there's only a couple variations that you go through for that Ryan comp anyway. And as Mitch said as well, map choices do matter here a lot. So if there is a situation where VP do drop a map, go straight towards a Dorado, go straight towards a Paraíso. These are the types of maps you need to go to abuse the fact that Ryan is not going to be particularly good in terms of matchup there. And then obviously play as much Sauna Fire as you can, because that's also going to be really important.
Yeah. I mean, that's our guesses. Hey, I'm a simple man. If I see Ryan, I'm happy. Okay, that's all I think about.
That's what I thought.
I mean, we're seeing the viewer prediction here. Oh, surprisingly, a lot of I guess it's more favored towards SPC, 54% versus VP, 46%. I would have guessed Virtus Pro was going to be a little bit.
I want to explain to you, like, branding 101 here as an Overwatch player. Step 1, be a Reinhardt one trick. Step 2, everyone ascribes you this incredibly masculine quality on account of Ryan being like the Chad hero, so you're just a Chad. And then it actually doesn't matter what you do. You make sure, step 3, you get into an interview and you give short answers that don't give detail, that also ascribes you a masculine quality, and all of a sudden you have a following of like a ton of 18 to 35 men. And then all of a sudden that's like, half of Overwatch, right? And then you've just got to, work your way from there. That is exactly what Hardy did. He's like, I'm just playing Ryan. Everyone's like, I love this guy instantly. It is the ticket to fame and greatness in Overwatch.
Not gonna lie, I mean, it works. It worked for me, and I guess 54%
it didn't work
viewers.
For you.
No, what do you mean?
It worked on you.
I love Ryan players.
I know you do. I know you do. I wish I could put a leash on you when we play. It's crazy.
Hey, I mean, now
Bumper fed for a whole season and made a name for that.
So I don't just press W anymore. Anyways, guys, we're just rambling. It's time to go into matches. So, Mitch and Kevin, take it away.
Thank you very much, Tanner. Yeah, jokes, Chad Ryan jokes aside, Cloudy is one of the most experienced, one of the best players in that role, and in the past was utilized in top teams as a specialist. Now, now he's just forcing it in every situation. It does make for good Overwatch. This team is quality. They were able to take down Ex-Oblivione with some very close maps, but you can see over the course of this series, like Kevin mentioned, quite a number of these maps can be pretty hostile to those Reinhardt compositions. Busan, less so. There are definitely some situations where you can make that comp work, and VP have actually obliged SRP by selecting it here.
I think Peak Check are kind of lucky in the fact that Elios is not in the pool.
Yes.
And because if Elios is in the pool, they're in a lot of danger. That map is kind of unwinnable for the Rhine. Well, actually, maybe Lighthouse use some TP shenanigans. But as we get into this, you mentioned Cloudy's history a little bit. One of my favorite Cloudy facts, one of the stories is in Season 3, I believe, when we used to have the old hero band system, the one that people didn't really like back then, Cloudy was meant to play. He was on Glads. He was meant to come out of Ryan. He was meant to actually start on the Glads roster until Zoe's cat banned out Ryan, and then he never got to play.
Oh, actually,
True story.
actually gapped
True
by
story.
Nori. That's amazing. Yeah.
Nori ruined Cloudy's chance of starting on the Gladiators roster.
I shouldn't laugh at that. Just I should not be laughing at that at all, actually.
And I'm pretty sure Cloudy's locked in a Glad skin too.
Yeah.
He's got that purple skin out there. He's repping it. He's like, I'll make my debut today. OWCS Stage, baby.
Oh, man. That is brutal stuff. Okay. We're going to be out of the gates here in just a moment. It will be the Farah composition here for Sauna. Rajaro, on the Ramatra, not an uncommon sight for them. And the Ash here for Shockwave, someone who can really outrange fire much of the time. SRP Checker playing the classic Ryan fall back to Sim turret composition. Already the Immortality field has been expended.
Ram is a really good choice here for VP as well, because it's one of the few tanks that Rajaro can definitely play that will play well into the Ryan itself. Ram versus Ryan is more than what you want to see in Gala. Specialist on the Alari, a lot of angles you can play through for Sanctuary. But he's already trying to get really aggressive, and he'll just die for that.
Yeah, Cloudy gets a backhand from Rajaro as he charges in. Nemesis Storm are pretty comfortable here to pick up that kill for Virtus Pro. And they are definitely going to be ready to play around this Reinhardt setup. There's a question as well as the Fire looking for the angles to try and punish or put pressure down on Sauna. There are multiple threats to the Cassidy here. He's also completely and utterly outranged and power crept at times by Eliari. That is something to bear in mind here as Virtus Pro have all the tools.
And this is the thing, how are you going to gap close into VP? You have a single teleport. There's a bunch of ways that VP can gap themselves out as well. They don't have a Lucio, but Sauna can throw in that concussive blast at any point that will really ruin your TPs. Cloudy's kind of died twice now trying to close that gap. That looks like a fake TP. At least one person took it.
Yeah, not quite a fake one. We did use that to get the Cassidy and Symmetra in position on that right-hand side with SRP check. I know closer to the point than they were a little bit earlier on. Cloudy already takes a face full of damage, and you see the attempts here at using the Sim turrets to reposition. Cloudy will have to charge across the way. Dana, look at that position. Lying ahead of the Ryan shield and not punished for it. SRP check able to establish now a little bit of position, but the bomb will have to be dealt with, and Fire falls early.
They're just losing everyone. VP are so far ahead of the stage. They barely died. I mean, Bob's even just cleaning up kills. Cloudy had to pin the Bob backwards, and I don't know, that even kind of just helped the Bob in a way, because Bob just gets a little bit deeper into the SRP check backline. Fire now trying to get out of spawn by playing just a little bit of Widowmaker. Now over towards the Ash. As SRP check, they are starting to come up with some ultimates, but they still have to close the gap.
The dynamite inside the house is absolutely brutal. SRP check know they have to TP out of line of sight. This is going to go to waste. Gala has no captive sun targets really at all, as entirely of SRP check are team wiped. And we are looking at a quality team on a terrible comp getting absolutely dumpstered.
And Sanctuary shouldn't even be that bad for a Ryan team, but they just can't really get into VP at all. They can't take Rajaro down. No one can really take down Sauna. Fine, they'll come through on a Bastion to try and do something about it, but Cloudy's on point. The rest of his team, though, might just be a little bit caught out. At least they kill Sauna.
Ghost gets picked off, though, by Gala, so that Iari again causing problems. Cloudy wants to try and make some space on this point here. We can see that the outburst here from Gala allows him to get back, and yeah, the Annihilation will chase Cloudy down, drag him to the depths as Virtus Pro take away the first round here on Busan.
And I think what VP, or rather SRP, are really looking for here is they want to go towards that mecha base. Hopefully it becomes a mecha base that comes through for the second round, but in either case, whether it's mecha base or not, they have to win 2 rounds here because they just lost Sanctuary. Downtown's going to have to be a factor as well. Guess what? Downtown, great for Farah. Ash, plenty of high ground. There's going to be TPs to get you up there, and they'll have to get past, you know, their favored round, their favored submap to even have a chance to tie this one up and maybe round it out into 2-3, or rather 2-1 on opening map of Busan. This is where they're favored, though. If you can't make the Ryan comp work here, then this series is going to get really dangerous for SRP check.
Yeah, it's not just this map, right? I think if the Ryan comp doesn't work here, it doesn't work anywhere. Obviously, Rajaro doesn't want to get run down by LH Cloudy, especially when he's out of that Nemesis form, but there are windows in which Virtus Pro can flip a few of those levers, go aggressive. So all here, in a potential flanking spot, but Fire will be keeping him in check for the time being. Trying to push up, trying to overwhelm Rajaro here. Bear in mind, there's a Life Weaver in play for Gala. Crucial as this rush down composition from SRP check will look to isolate individuals.
It's a little bit more dangerous for Sauna to play this map, right? A little lower on the ceiling, so Gala might just go for a few of those pulls to catch Sauna out into safety. But he's still really just trying to find anybody, but every single time he goes for these pins, he's just getting chunked down and dead.
And that's a positional issue, nothing else there. I mean, Cloudy ends up getting split from SRP Check, who are playing on that main high ground. He's over towards the bridge. And Virtus.pro able to drag him down. Now it's really a matter of just flipping the point, which they've done so. SRP Check actually don't attempt to contest it because they're all stuck up on the high ground, which ultimately causes them to get staggered for a time. But both DPS are down for Virtus.pro. And SRP Check do have a crack at this, but they need to flip first.
Yeah, and Cloudy just comes back out and dies again instantly. A couple of late deaths coming through for the rest of SRP Check now. They did actually have a couple of early ultimates. Ghost was leading Canale by just a little while, but Canale's caught up now. I mean, that gap has closed very rapidly as Virtus.pro in position to counter-ult in plenty of different ways, and despite at least getting Sauna or Shockwave down, they couldn't clean up the rest of the members. Rajaro got a multi-frag in that previous fight. Kronos is so far away from a Soundbar, and that's just one of the tools they really need to be able to take these fights.
Tree of Life, though, up for Gala in just a few moments here. And there it is. That's going to be the pull to try, presumably, and get Shockwave out of the fight there. Gets picked off. Cloudy chases Virtus.pro into the point here, trying to force this fight. Lightweaver ultimate, though, is going to make it pretty hard to bring Rajaro down. Those healing pulses are definitely more than enough to keep Virtus.pro hale and hardy for this fight. Deadeye for fire. Hopes the TP through, but actually gets picked off. A rare barrage kill against the Cassidy for Sauna, who picked his spot marvelously. And now Ghost really is just getting staggered. Virtus.pro have been in control at this point the entire time, so they are happy to try and contain the BAP as long as they can.
Yeah, nearly got a kill there, but Immortality Field expended by Canale. He doesn't mind that at all. And for SRP Check as well, you can tell from Cloudy's POV, he really wants to get into backline. He really wants to swing the hammer onto somebody. Managed to get Shockwave down, but it's so hard to keep up with him. How are Kronos and Ghost meant to really do too much? Because as soon as Cloudy goes in, guess what? Sauna's damage is going to come through. Shockwave's damage is going to be there, assuming he's alive. And now more ultimates about to come on through. Shatter is available. Should be a couple of free targets here.
Canale gets picked off early here. I think, yeah, Virtus.pro are tracking this ultimate, Kevin, and they just split on that high ground as quickly as they can, trying to break line of sight. That has at least exposed their Baptiste to some of that damage. So we do have a flip here for SRP Check. Bob going to get thrown out here, and it's a mutual knockdown between Cloudy and the Bob itself. Gala, I think, avoids there the scrutiny that Cloudy would have applied to him after that Bob gets thrown out, but that Shatter is still available for SRP Check.
Timing for Ghost here as well onto Canale. Is there a window that SRP Check can use quite literally and metaphorically? They do have point control, but it's 98 for VP, so one flip and they take away the entire map of Busan. Still looking towards that Shadow. We talked about it for a while now.
Then we have to make it work. I mean, you were dealing with Farah and Ash, who are also playing from the high ground here. So it's Ryan. You don't have a lot of options. There's Sim, you have even less. And yep, Dana got split off from Cloudy. Couldn't benefit from that shield and the Shadow. Well, we're past without a trace out of this wall. We have no idea what he was able to catch with that one. Odds are absolutely nothing. Here's the Annihilation. Gala, of course, able to dash away from the incoming Reinhardt as Ghost and Fire get dragged down, and Cloudy will follow them soon after. Virtus.pro with sheer weight of ultimates there, able to bring SRP Check to heal. And that'll be Busan getting taken away.
That was dominant. That was super, super dominant, especially when you look over towards Mecha Base, which, as mentioned, should be the favored position, should be the favored submap and round for your Ryan composition to find value. I mean, that is the Brawl map. Typically, you look over towards these control maps, there's going to be one of these rounds where you're going to have something favored for Brawl. That was it, and they didn't get anything done. And you have, you know, a couple of misplays there, maybe. Cloudy just couldn't find a shatter. You know, I paid attention to just the HUD there, and no one got stunned. 0 people got stunned, so that was just a 100% whiff. Dan had been caught out into the side room as well. Saw it's a freebie. You got no sim. No sim means you don't really have the mobility. The Lucio is there for the speed, but it's the TP that'll actually close the gap onto some members of VP. But it doesn't really happen because one other thing that's apparent on Mecha Base is there's still plenty of high ground. You want to play on the point? Well, you're not going to be on the high ground. And how do you catch players like Sauna and also players like Shockwave when they get just abused the range as effectively as they can? And once you start wanting to brawl on the point as at line comp, now you're getting off-angled really heavily.
Starting on Sanctum here, I mean, first of all, I think it's really important to point out that this isn't even a conversation about the Ryan comp versus Dive. Rajaro is playing Ramatra for the entire map, and, you know, it's really a more potent composition overall. I do think that the symmetry here is so punishable. Yes, if Dane can set up some, you know, effective TPs and get Cloudy where he needs to be and make these plays like we saw, frankly, from Twisted Minds yesterday, then this comp has a lot of potential. But all I see is Cloudy split from the rest of his team constantly.
Well, and no one can really follow him up, and you're relying on Ghost throwing a gold medal discus there to be able to catch him with the ammo field. And Cloudy's just so far away because he's desperate to get onto the back lane. He's desperate to swing the hammer on somebody. I don't know if there's a more patient way they can play this and they can get around the map a little easier. Perhaps Busan just wasn't going to be their play. They need maybe a more favored Rhine map, go towards, I'll have to look at the map pool in a second, but maybe a Shambali or something like that. I'm looking towards Eichenwalder as well, but point being, going towards the hybrids, you know, and maybe Rurusabi could be good, but you're going to go up against a poke composition the entire way through, because what you really see out of VP, despite the Ram being there, what was it? Ashe, Pharah, and double flex support. That is quintessential poke. Now, if you play Diva or Sigma there, that is a perfect poke composition. The only reason Rajara is on the Ram is because he knows a Ram has a capable matchup into the Rhine. That's it. That's the only change that VP need to make their composition, their style, work against Cloudy and the rest of SR Pick Check.
And if you're referencing maps like Shambali Monastery, for example, or even Runasapi, you can just play the Ramatra. I mean, he has windows where he can trade with that Rhine quite happily. It's just the threat of the shatter sometimes that makes Ramatra players think twice. They don't always want to be brawling because obviously they have two separate states and that Nemesis allows them to throw down with the Rhine quite happily. So you can play around it. You play around these more obvious windows where the Rhine is going to be stronger than you, and you have a sick poke comp to fall back on. We saw Gala initially play the Iliari, very, very potent, I think, on that first map there. Really wide open map, of course. And, you know, players like Fion Cassidy are just utterly outranged by her and will die, obviously, in a few hits. Then we saw the switch over towards the life weaver. So again, in those poke compositions, the weakness of them is individuals in that poke comp getting dove on or not being able to disengage. Well, you've kind of covered up that potential weakness of the setup here, and you're getting great value out of your Baptiste in general. So that's something to be mindful of here. This might not necessarily be a question of, okay, does Ryan suck against Dive? It is, does Ryan suck against Ramatra or sort of any other composition here in general? Circuit Royal picked up by SRP Check-in. This is a map that's, again, ripe for the poke comp.
Well, actually, I do have a comment about this, and we discovered something in terms of the meta when we looked over towards World Cup, because SSG, piloted by Hardy, on that Rhine as well. So you can basically be Cloudy, you can look at SRP, you can just look over towards what SSG did over at World Cup, and they played a lot of circuit, and they hard forced the Rhine comps, and it worked. It actually did work. There's a lot of situations where, because it's quite a flat map, yes, there is high ground, but very easy to go through the high ground and to use the TPs to just navigate that situation. You can make a Rhine work on this. Hardy proved it was possible, so Cloudy's just going to follow the same footsteps here and try and force it into VP. But the problem here is still going to be the fire. Sauna has no reason to hop off the fire anytime soon, and all SR Picture can do is hope that Fire can do something with the cast. He doesn't really want to go towards Ashe because it doesn't work towards the Rhine comp, right? Ashe isn't really what you want to play him there. So you want to play the cast. The Bash is not going to work. Bash is going to have zero value versus the Fire. You need to navigate the Fire. So Circuit Royale, going to be a good Fire map. Unfortunately, for SR Peak Check, just looked at every map, every single map pool, every single map in the pool is pretty damn good for Fire, actually.
I mean, we've also seen Ents get a lot of value out of Farah on this map. Very good at beating other poke compositions, you know, if it is like a Sigma setup. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is super surprising, like seeing the Ramatra giving Virtus Pro a pretty middle-of-the-road option there. And yeah, okay, so do we get the Life Weaver? Because obviously, you know, being able to throw those pedals up to give Farah, you know, those staging grounds means she never really is going to drop low to the ground.
And that's only one of the issues as well, because you still have the range. I mean, you noted that this map is still extremely good for poke, and it is. And you don't even have to play the Sigma. Again, Rajar's going to come through straight on the Ram, same as what we saw on Busan. Brilliant matchup into the Rhine, super survivable, not going to get run over by the Rhine. We're going to see May plus Sim. This is actually a comp that SR Paycheck, looking over their game so far, haven't played. They didn't play this versus EXO. They played mostly Fire on a hit scan.
I think they played on Surat Vasa against EXO for a time with the Rhine setup here. So there were some good catches with May walls and such. But it definitely wasn't, you know, they quite often had to bring another hit scan. But how does this interact with the Fire then? It was like, it gives you very little option.
Zero interaction with the Fire. That's the problem.
Right, well, look at this, though. This is that TP being used here by SR Check to try and round the corner and put that pressure down on Shockwave, and they have managed to use that mobility to overwhelm the defenders here.
Now, VP got themselves caught up in the brawl as well. They don't want to be in the melee. They want to have ample room to back up. They know the TP is going to come through. They need to be able to be in a situation where, okay, you have room behind you, fall back to the hairpin, fall back even further to the high ground, abuse your range advantage, and can't be affording yourselves in a situation where you're stuck in a corner and suddenly the TP arrives on your doorstep.
Shockwave here wants to get out ahead this time and start to put some of that heal pressure down with these dynamites. We'll still look to play the corner because, of course, a shot through the store could be huge, and Rajaro gets caught out. The M-Matrix, he's not ready for it, and he gets absolutely bowled over. This RP check were ready for this map. They absolutely came to play on Circuit Royale.
Yeah, and they just have all the odds to play through as well because they were so good in that neutral. Ghost was so far here, connected by at least 40%, and now the melee continues. More cleanups. Payload's not really moving. That's the only downside for SR Peak Ship, but they're getting all the kills.
And, well, this is a matter of time for Sauna. He'll be allowed to get away as Fire's more than happy to push up. And this cart has not been moving past that checkpoint, so SR Peak Check lose a little bit of cart progress here by all leaning on that fight, but it's kind of what they cop needs to do by definition, so they have a chance to regroup now and start that push behind a sound barrier, an ultimate that Virtus Pro don't have access to in general.
It does kind of wipe away the last fight, though. It really means the last fight didn't count for much because you never progressed payload the entire way through. So VP essentially get a free reset. It's not like VP actually played ult anyway. Eventually, I'd also like to, by the way, speaking of resetting, see Gala off of this hero on the life. We maybe go back towards the Galari.
There's no reason Asuna can't get tons of value here. The only person that can really threaten him is Ghost, honestly. Maybe fine with some of those right clicks. Shockwave gets taken down, so perhaps Fire's able to do that for us, and Sauna, well, that's a good way to make yourself subject to literally everybody on the other team. Of course, is trying to go for that barrage. It doesn't pay off, and the Fire really hasn't been a big factor in this game so far. Now, yeah, Rajaro, under so much pressure, pulled out and hopes to make use of this annihilation to stop the car from getting that second checkpoint already.
I mean, the entire way you're supposed to be using the life group is to save your Fire from the rocket barrage, but that just didn't happen, so now they have to try and retake. The Bob actually misses the payload, so Rajaro's going to have to be the man of the cap.
Yeah, much of these shots from the Bob are being broken up by the barrier here. Cloud is healthy enough to actually swing into an annihilating Ramatra. That's just how good things are for SR Peak Check. It's mojitos on the beach in a cabana vibe for this team. They have taken almost that second checkpoint now. Canal will be that last line of defense. We are looking at 4 minutes and 40 on the clock. SR Peak Check's run cop are absolutely messing Virtus Pro up.
It just seems like VP are so flustered here. I mean, they played so disciplined, looking over towards Busan. You move over to a circuit where SR Peak Check, they learn from the best of the Rhine comps and kind of just study SSG style, replicate it here to great success on both A and B. And VP find themselves in a rough situation where they start making mistakes. You start seeing Sauna get a little bit too aggressive, going for an optimistic barrage. There's no life grip from Gala because he misused that a little bit early on, blew it too early. And now he is finally back on the LR, so at least I think the swap is good. Off the life weaver, that's positive.
Okay, Blizzard here threatens to catch out Rajaro with the main wall is going to confirm it. Okay, meanwhile, everyone else on SRP to get shattered by Cloudy as he steps past the frozen body of Rajaro to disrupt any follow-up for that Ramatra. Every single fight SRP Check have had a plan for, and every single fight they've been able to execute on it almost flawlessly. 3 minutes 40, and that card is about to round the final stretch.
There's more kills to be had here. I mean, if Shockwave's not out of the way, he'll be finding himself in the spawn room very quickly. Gala's on the wrong side of the map. And I think if you want to be able to clean up this map, yeah, take Gala down, TP straight into his face. That's going to be the support gone in short order. 5v4.
What is he looking for there? Unclear. Either way, it's RP Check. Now that player advantage here. No Iliari left for the defenders. There is going to be an matrix there for Canale, and Sauna's at least able to find some Barras purchase. Doesn't get punished during that. And that's without Iliari on the field, by the way. That is the first time Virtus Pro had actually been able to slow SRP Check down this entire map.
Just caught them on the end of the TP, and that's what you got to do is I'll punish the TP plays where they cheese the TP down. You assume they're going to come on through. You confirm one member's actually gone through the TP, and then you use something like the barrage or the conch blast, and that's Sauna's job. That's what he needs to be able to do. And notably, you did say as well without Gala, so they didn't even get to use the Captive Sun, and that is a big Captive Sun.
Soundberry, they might inoculate against much of this, but Ghost is going to fall eventually. Trying to throw out that immortality field, and Sauna looking to try and back up here defensively. Does get caught by Cronus. This is going to be another VP fight window as they get a nice little vortex on SRP Check as they TP to that stairwell on the top right.
You have to punish these rotations, right? Because SRP Check, they want to try and move through the stairway, get a little bit of high ground, close the distance a little bit. Payload's in a great spot for SRP Check. They just need to be able to find that one critical fight on that final point. Once again, play the stairway first. denying some of the positioning away from Sauna. You don't want any off angles.
It's going to be hard, though, to do. They're going to have to TP across this gap, likely, and play by the pool side. They do. Throw up a sim wall, basically, instantly. Sauna needs to get out of trouble very quickly. He can't escape. There's no way. Gala desperately trying to right-click him, and he might have gotten out. There is a TP for someone, an SRP check to double back for the Farah, but I don't think they have the numbers. Cloudy not able to make the charge kill off the map, but with the shatter here, he's able to bring Rajaro down. He took a ton of damage in order to do so, but his teammates have done very well elsewhere. Returning to the card actually turns out it's a pretty safe place for this Ryan to be. So he'll be topped up. 90 seconds left in the round, and that is a pretty brilliant finish here by SRP Check. Working this Ryan comp very well.
I mean, the patience being shown by SRP Check is really well played there because you just want to wait for your TPs, go across the map. You know your rotations are dangerous. That's where you're going to take a bunch of damage. That's where the ultimate charge is going to be found by Shockwave and Sauna. So what are you going to do? TP across from your spawn all the way to the stairway. Look over towards the pool side. Again, you don't want to deal with these off angles coming through from Sauna and the likes of Shockwave. So TP directly to the pool. Get really aggressive, and then what do VP do? They swap the sides of the map. That ends up being the fatal call for VP that prevents them from actually being able to contest. It's Rajaro solo contesting the point. He eats a pin nearly off the map, straight to the shatter, dies anyway. VP still on the wrong side of the map and not in a position to actually re-aggress onto the payload. Some members locked out by the ice wall as well. So that's like Check. They rotate directly to the point, and VP just leave it vacant.
Be pretty happy, though, either way. With such a healthy time bank following the finish of Circuit Royal for your SRP Check squad. Now, Virtus Pro. They have to know at some point that SRP Check are going to look to play aggressively on this defense, right? Otherwise, they get picked apart by the Dynamites, by this Farah, by the constant poke damage of Iliari. You feel like they have to go for some pretty harebrained stuff here.
They're not going for a full spawn camp where they're just on top of the spawn doors or anything like that. They are going to play this close, so if you are Ryan Comp on this first 8 point, the corners are your friend. These long sight lines are not. So first corner, very important. Hairpin, very important. If you don't win the fights there, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
It's going to take SRP Check a while to recover and be able to reset here if they lose so close to spawn.
Nice solo.
Sauna putting pressure down, and Cloudy has no choice but to charge out of the room. And that is a very sad looking Immortality Field. Comes a little too late. Now SRP Check, their plans are revealed. They TP behind the attackers on the high ground. Suffice to say, this has not worked at all.
It's looking a little like Busan there for Cloudy, just charging directly into his death. Danny knows what you're talking about on that one. As it's going to be Virtus Pro now. Looking very comfortable moving across the straight. Hairpins the next location. SRP Check to find some sort of defense. They have to abuse these corners. They have to abuse the little rooms inside where the clothing store is as well, but they're not going to know about the Shockwave on the lurk. Or maybe they do now.
Yeah, Shockwave's had to give himself away here. A little risky, but SRP Check need to be grouped up and looking front and center. What a charge from Cloudy. An absolute classic out of his play.
Shockwave.
And then just ruin Shockwave with a fire strike as soon as he picks himself up from that charge. Again, this is what SRP Check have to do. They have to be proactive constantly with this Ryan. Set up pins, punish Rajaro, close the gap. And that's a nice little down the range shot from Fire to clean up Sauna.
Yeah, nice accuracy. You need that on your May play for sure. You're not playing in the hit scans here, so channel a little bit of the backbone, May. So what he would be doing, he'd be finding these picks. Now they're going to get a little bit more aggressive. Payload's going to start moving back now. They're going to get Shockwave again.
And Rajaro has a wall behind him. Body block from getting back into spawn. Still will slip through. And now, SRP Check reset. They take one of these more defensive positions. Triple turret on the corner just to troll Rajaro as much as possible. And they'll have a new TP play, I'm sure, to work on.
It'll be 7 turrets versus healing turret coming through to see what can do more. As we move around the corner, look at this. 5 ults online for VP, nearly 5 online for SRP Check, but they all got all the important ones. The defensive ones, what you're looking for.
They spotted that TP very quickly, though. Virtus Pro. Here comes the push-up. SRP Check can play from behind this sim wall here, but they can't really advance past it. So they're going to have to accept that this is just a time buy and nothing more. Sauna waits for it to dissipate, and then straight away it's into high gear once more. Cloudy going to play that low ground, play the corner. Sauna would love to boop him forward here. But Cloudy probably wants to try and be fighting with Rajaro. They've lost Ghost, though. Crucially, Gala finds a big pick here, and they are taking risks playing by the coastline. See the Lucio speed of Cronus there, at least allowing them to snap up the Ash kill, but eventually they get brought down as SRP Check. There's no TP play to be made.
You can't TP into Sauna because he's playing Skybox or in the skies at least for the entire way through, finding some really good damage and even threatening the barrage. You can tell he was really trying to hunt Cloudy down. That's the prime target, or somebody on the back line. But Cloudy primarily, if you get the tank down, the entire push is dead. The entire melee is gone. And Blizzard never got to be played in that particular fight as well. And that's after they actually denied Gala's Captive Sun. Dana drops the wall, and Gala throws Captive Sun directly into that photon barrier. So not what you want.
Sauna tries to be disruptive. As soon as SRP check comes through a TP, they try and knock them aside. That is a beautiful shadow. You saw Rajaro attempting to shield that out, but Cloudy will not be denied. Oh, buddy, SRP check. They're back in the driver's seat now. And you'll know they might try and look to play from above the attacker spawn on that high ground. Any way that they can get an advantage playing these wacky angles they're going to look for. Cloudy would love to just sort of play from here, but he's going to be dove on now. He's to try and get away. He's very low. Immortality field has to be used. Okay. Okay, so why don't we take those? He expends the barrage, knows that the Ryan is definitely vulnerable to it. They don't want to lose Canale here. And they keep
Cloudy overplayed his hand. Cloudy massively overplayed his hand there. He needed TP to get out. The TP came through, but he goes for the charge instead to try and run because he'll take a lot of damage with that. A little bit of miscommunication there, but there's no reason Cloudy should be chasing Sauna as much as he did. I mean, that's a full HP Pharah. You don't have the damage, you don't have the range to actually take him down, so Cloudy finds himself super out of position, and now that allows VP to be able to walk forward, but Sauna punished.
And it's a hit scanless composition that again is able to punish the Pharah. Sauna might just need a little bit more attention here, but it can be tough to keep him topped up with this setup. That is a dirty annihilation. Ghost is desperately trying to keep his team topped up, but that regenerative burst is not available, and Gala drops the sun on them. That is dirty. Brilliant Iliari ultimate there. That Captive Sun claims 2. And Virtus Pro, they look to be in trouble. Rajaro, frozen stiff, almost eliminated. They're able to recover.
Just wait for all the other ults, wait for all the defensive utility to be gone from SRP, Chicken Sun and the Captive Sun. Didn't work last time. This time it's going to absolutely win you the fight.
Gonna back up here. That symbol will at least allow Virtus Pro some breathing room as this RPG try and set a further forward staging ground with a Sim TP. Cover up the stairwell. Consistently, you notice Ghost's job consistently to clear these Iliari healing pylons.
Cronus low. Oh, Cronus is so carefully. Oh, risky.
All right, guys got stones. Sound barrier though plays out just as you'd expect it to when Shockwave gets picked off by Danid. Fire here sees Rajaro obviously in a bit of a flanky spot. He was actually able to reach in and peel out Cronus. Rajaro just falls. It looks like the reinforcements were on their way. The fire still could be an issue though, and you'll notice Fire needs to land some of these shots on towards Sauna. There's no real healer, I think, right now for Cloudy. This is dangerous here for SRP check, excuse me. The respawns are coming back in. That Rhine shield, though, as soon as it drops, it should be the end of Cloudy. He's got to get out.
He's on 1 HP here. He needs a lot of help, and Gala's taking down Fire, and Cronus has got to follow through, so the cap should come on in. 98% for Cloudy there, and unfortunately, Ghost 91, Cronus died in the previous fight. Cloudy was trying to hold on for dear life, and just was unable to do so. Never really found his way back to his own team for that safety. And Virtus Pro will finally get onto last, but look at this time. I mean, 2 minutes versus 125. SR Check will absolutely have the better time bank here. If VP finish the map at all, I think it's going to happen in OT.
I think you might be right here. It's a little bit harder at some of these points for Sauna to be able to flank safely. Doesn't really have the skybox to play, but can definitely punish a wayward charge like that one out of Cloudy. Rajaro in the mix there as well. That Nemesis form going to work, and Virtus Pro win a very important fight where SRP were looking to probably accrue some ultimates and buy as much time as they could. Looks like Virtus Pro can finish with like 30, 40 seconds with a quick fight here, but it's likely Kevin to be an overtime fight.
Yeah, because look at the ultimates. SRP have just about everything they need now, minus the sound barrier. They have pull as well. Positioning is important. You want to deny that away from Shockwave and Sauna, who expended ultimates. You can't lose Fire, though.
That's the May down. So much value. The Blizzard was also available for Fire. Not an option, but somehow Cloudy extracts a kill from absolutely nowhere. It's Shockwave falling to a Fire Strike. Can probably... Oh, dear. Oh, that's not good. Cronus there. Credited with the kill on Gala. And that is going to be a full reset for Virtus Pro.
It's a shame as well, because they got Fire down so early, but a great trade. On the way back through, a 1-for-1. We'll see if Gala actually is going to play through on this Kiriko or not. I suppose the Suzu itself will be pretty damn useful. Still, big ultimates. May, Blizzard, really important for the final fight.
By looking for a wall set up here, maybe to catch someone that extends too far forward. Likely Rajaro would be his intended target. Sees the Ramatra there, but Rajaro backs up briefly. TP's now going to allow SRP check the transition back to that left side high ground. That's the wall thrown out by Fire to block them there. Rajaro's going to be caught. Suzu, can it get him out? He's trying to get out of the blizzard, but it expires before it could have frozen him. Desperately, they try and keep him up. You can see Gala with the left clicks, attempting to keep the Ramatra in the fight, but in Annihilation, he is still brought down. Cloudy now back to playing corners and back to getting value out of that shield. Charge in the direction of Chenale. It's going to be Shockwave to at least help bring him down. Now Fire on the card trying to contest, and Shockwave from behind putting some damage in. That is dirty stuff. Okay, the dynamite goes off. Puts a ton of pressure on those card players. Rajaro returns on the Wrecking Ball now, and Shockwave still has a pretty commanding position from this high ground. He's gotten rid of that immortality field. At least, can he be pressured? He is going to be so frustrating for someone like Cloud to deal with, who can't really turn his shield in a safe direction at all anymore. Bob's available, going to be sent down, and that is dirty. Ghost peeks his head out for just a moment, has it ripped clean off. What a moment for Shockwave. Virtus Pro, at risk of not finishing the map at all, squeak one out.
And you just see VP, they were trying to take pool control the entire way through. TP's trying to address that coming through from Danid, but all you can really do is see Fire drop in the ice wall and then drop back down to the point again, because you need to be playing the Blizzard on the point. They catch Rajara, great, prime target, tank gone. But what about the rest of VP? You still don't actually have high ground control. You're a brawl team. You can't address all these threats at the same time. Too many fires to put out and only one fire extinguisher. And unfortunately for them, one of those tinders ended up being a blaze on the final point for Shockwave at the back of the point on the high ground, unaffected. No one could deal with Shockwave at all. And you have another situation where Cloudy, unfortunately, goes down to the 1v1 versus Canal. If he wins that 1v1, gets one more hammer swing in, or lands the initial pin, could have been a slightly different story. Would have slowed things down a little bit further, given SRP Jake the opportunity to maybe regroup with just a few more members.
Yeah, obviously make Shockwave look a little bit uncomfortable in that position if the Baptiste is picked up there. And it was a charge that missed by a matter of inches. However, SRP Check get to go on defense once more. That 2 minute and 25 time bank, which again, make no mistake, is huge on a map like this. It's absolutely massive. And it is a difference, of course, of 125. Something that Virtus Pro is going to hope to make up early on. Now, last time, SRP Check just got smashed in this first fight. They kind of tipped their hand. They showed they were trying to TP behind, and Cloudy got caught. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but that is definitely what they're trying to avoid this time around. Keep Cloudy a little safer. Try not to be forced to charge in.
It's the same setup for both teams so far. You have Fire on the off angle, and the rest of the team. Oh, a big TP on the back, actually.
Yep, this time it works out. Cloudy ends up in Canale's face, which is the last place you want to see Ryan. He clambers over the back line of Virtus Pro. Gala able to recover 2 quick kills of that Eliari and 2 important targets at that. Shockwave is able to time Daned's emergence from that teleporter. Virtus Pro do win the fight, but again, that strips already a decent 35 seconds off the clock.
But it might just give VP some much-needed ult charge, because we are getting to a situation where once the neutral is over, first ult's going to be super important, so we're going to pay attention here. Ghost is leading Canale. And for SRP Check, they're going to need to hold around this hairpin. If the cap does go on through, things will get really uncomfortable. 1 minute's not a lot of time. And for SRP Check to win, I do believe they need to hold A.
Fake TP potentially, only Cloudy ends up taking it. It was sniffed out pretty early by Virtus Pro, as they've seen that exact TP before in this game, no less. Sauna getting pretty close there. Cloudy low, and over the edge he goes. Gets picked off before he could have fallen, but that is going to be the Ryan out of the mix once more now for SRP Check, and Virtus Pro just need to stick the landing here for this first checkpoint. They should do. Ghost goes down, and the rest of SRP Check are hoping to stall as long as they can. The boot from Cronus is good. It gets Canale at least. So it's a 4-player outfit for Virtus Pro looking for that first checkpoint.
And now B is up for grabs for VP as well. And that's going to be really difficult because, again, SRP Check had to do all of this again on their own attack. They cannot stop A. This is already getting out of their hands. If they want to win this map, like I said, I think it needed to end on A. They can't afford to really allow VP to get this first checkpoint, but they wanted to TP out for the disengage, and they had to go around the statue, but that's just not where you want to be.
You have to think Virtus Pro might have done enough on this map already, but it's time to see just how much more they can ask for. Rajaro has to hide away from this amp matrix. That means Akane can walk up on him. Ghost has to respect this. No one saw when he gets picked off. It's a sound barrier. And a very timely point here for Cronus that keeps SRP Check topped up. Captive Sun, though, is there any purchase? Doesn't look like it. Looks like it went straight into that little kiosk instead. But Danad always going to be weak without Reinhardt in the mix or in the right position. Gets taken down by Shockwave, and yep, they're doing it again, folks. Virtus Pro, Spencer big ultimates there. 3 of them, in fact, to win that fight. And now they're knocking on the door of B.
Well, they got the ult lead because they win 2 fights in a row very handily as well. One at the spawn, one around the hairpin for the A point. And now they want a third point. It does cost them ultimate, so eventually SR Peak Check is going to get one through, you'd imagine, but they also lose 2 defensive ultimates. They have to be able to use Wall to go in for the retake, but where is Sauna? He has the high ground.
I like that TP. There's going to be a barrage here thrown into the dispersed mob of SRP Check. Unfortunately, Virtus Pro get off the card in doing so. SRP Check force them to stand and fight.
4 to 3. Switching sides.
We really needed to see Sauna with that rocket barrage take down the Ryan of Cloudy. Looking like it was probably an SRP Check favored fight, if I was to be a little bit honest there. They're really good ultimates for that engagement. Wall to get the retake on the point itself. Obviously got Shadow to play through. Blizzard, quite difficult for VP to deal with unless they can find that range. And if you lose Sauna again, things don't look good. But we talked about this, Mitch. The damage has likely have been done. I mean, even if they don't cap B, the fact that they capped A and made it most of the way through B, 225 is really not a lot to work through for SR Picture. If it was just A, you believe you say this is enough. A and B, it's looking a little bit rough, especially when you consider Ryan comps. I think they do struggle a little bit going on towards B. Now, yes, they did get a lot of distance on B on their initial attack, but I also think VP played quite poorly in some of the decision-making they had. They were quite flustered looking. Gala was on the Life Weaver this time. He just starts on the Iris. That's the right call. I don't like to see the Life Weaver shenanigans come through. Play what you know you're good at. Play the poke composition. That's what's going to beat the Ryan.
I mean, Virtus Pro have to have their eyes utterly peeled for these TPs because you don't get much of an opportunity to respond to them. When SRP Check throw them down and dive on them. The Shockwave and Canale especially, those are the 2 primary targets for SRP Check here. They take the Ash out. SRP Check are in good standing. Good little pressure here, and that is a beautiful concussive blast that catches 4 players. That means that SRP Check can't gather around that Rhine shield straight away. They use a TP, but we've seen this before. They transition to this high ground. This is something Virtus Pro have to have been expecting. They're trying to back away, but even with advanced notice, will that be possible? Danad's under so much pressure, and Sauna sees an opportunity to take a kill, but he overextends into it. Ghost picks him up, and it's going to be a trade here. Rajaro, though, wants to push forward as Cloudy is down, and that is all Virtus Pro need.
These trades are not good at all for VP. A late death on the Ghost 91 is crucial because that's now going to allow VP to regroup. They're going to try and catch fire here as well, but you don't want to bite more than you can chew off because they don't have enough minutes. 3 only, and they're going to get caught.
Rajaro able to get away somehow, but Shockwave not nearly quick enough. That Sim TP means it doesn't matter how fast you are. You need to be away from the action if you're Virtus Pro and you're trying to regroup. That is a crucial stagger on Ash, who's really powerful on this part of the map specifically, especially when it comes down to those dynamites into the back line lobbed over the Rhine shield.
It's just so greedy. I mean, why? VP, you didn't need a hunt for fire. You got enough kills. You got Ghost. After you get Ghost down, just get out, regroup with your team, play the hairpin. At least they're going to get the regroup here. SRP Check have to be a little bit careful. Full membership now back for VP and ultimates coming online.
And Matrix will catch them. Rajaro's not ready for this. He's able to get away around the corner only just though. Cloudy tries to chase him in, but it was Gala with a huge pick on Ghost. That is massive. Rajaro could have just disintegrated there. He didn't really have much of a window to escape. And with that, SRP Check losing that air matrix.
Yeah.
That is going to hurt them dearly.
Worst of all, VP have 5 ults now for SRP Check. That is disastrous. Remember, 2 fights, VP capped A. VP were already onto B by now. The time is basically gone. That's 2 minutes now. 2:25 we started with, 25 left now, and it's only seconds before we go into the OT.
Barrage here. Immortality Field covers that over, so Sauna is safe, and Fire has to use an Ice Block and Wall pretty much prematurely. Captive Sun inside that small room could be good. The TP comes in there, and very quickly Gala had to outburst to escape it. Hit by the Captive Sun he was. Sound Barrier now is going to protect them, and Rajaro is on the wrong side of the wall to be healed by Gala. He's desperately trying to keep this Ramatra standing, but SRP Check can even use the Sound Barrier. They've got to chase now. Virtus Pro have to take the fight. Cloudy knows it. Hits the Shadow. Rajaro is going to drop down. Can they get a touch on the cart to stop this checkpoint getting picked up? Sauna can't get there, and SRP Check have it. Now Virtus Pro are going to get staggered out. What a ridiculous TP 180. Shadow play from Cloudy.
I mean, just turns around and counters the window entirely. That window could have been very disastrous. So Cloudy saves the day. It does cost him his life. He gets a little aggressive. He starts to come back from spawn now. One last push. Can't get off the payload. Window's still available. Sauna looking towards our ult barrage, but still
Another
far
Matrix.
away. Rajaro, though, he's got the Annihilation.
You can work Rajaro down though in Annihilation with this Amp Matrix. The damage is too much even for the Ramatra to deal with. But here he comes. Rajaro pushes ahead of the Matrix. That's crucial. Takes the Immortality field down already. They're going to run roughshod over SRP check. Cloudy falls now, and the rest of them follow soon after like dominoes. SRP check are felled at the final hurdle. That right there is some good Overwatch. Finally. What is that, the 11th map? We've had like 9-0 yesterday. This is what I'm talking about. SRP Check really brought the heat with this comp, but look what they have to do to mimic a fraction of VP's power, man.
Yeah, it's still a 2-0. I mean, we might still get a 3-0 here. I really hope we don't, because SRP Check, they can show their capability to win, and Circuit Royale was so damn close, but man, it was the A point. They let the A point go in the time bank way too quickly. 2 fights, one and done, basically, for the side of VP, and then on their own offense, it took them so long to get the car started to finally cap. Now, some heroic plays, very good Overwatch, like you said, to be able to get that cap, but they didn't have time to play on B. Had they had even maybe one more reset available, 1 more minute to play through, even 30 seconds to play through, I think you play another fight on B, maybe they actually win, because they got close, just had 0 time to work through.
Absolutely. You know, I did love the TP4, the sort of 180 shatter from Cardi looked very, very good. And quite often, right, like Rajaro, we talked about Ramatra. It's like it's a decent matchup against Ryan. You can't do what Ryan does all the time outside of those prescribed windows with Nemesis form and, of course, that Annihilation. And you do have to respect just the pure stopping power of Earth Shatter. And a couple of occasions, Clad is able to make good use of this. This little angle here from Shockwave is ridiculous. They don't win they don't end the map. Virtus.pro don't even get a chance to go to extra innings if Shockwave isn't in this position. The bob there is clutch. Rajaro comes back on the ball. It is massive.
I just think VP are very good at knowing their win conditions there. Oh, that was a nice little play. Just goodbye, Cloudy. But yeah, you have a situation where, again, the final point set up to even get us to a time bank for VP where they struggled on their offense for what it's worth is the fact that they know they have to get those off angles. They have to play a little bit of high ground for their DPSs, and they have to be able to bait plays onto the low ground as well, because guess what? When you're on a Ryan comp, if you're SRP Check, you can't afford to split up. You have to be grouped as 5 for the most part, maybe a 4 and 1 if you want to get tricky, but you can't just have like your entire team go after, you know, too many individual players. This is the play that we're talking about, though, that actually gets an A point.
Yeah, look, the 180 shatter into Blizzard. Canale, like, never moved from that spot for like 10 seconds. And then they staggered out. I definitely at that point I thought it was possible. But I think Rajaro makes a great position here. Watch the Ramatra. Goes around the Amp Matrix. Knows of the potential for him to get bursted by that ability, so just circumvents it. That is really important.
I will say, though, as cool as it was to watch the plays come through between the Blizzard and the Earth Shatter on the A point, it did cost them a lot, right?
It cost them the map.
Everything to actually get that cap, and that's on top of the fact that it cost them the entire 225 time bank. And they had a superior time bank, but just didn't seem like it mattered. And what was really important is that VP kind of learned from their mistakes on the A point defense, because you remember their original A point defense was completely weak. They got destroyed on the first TP play. And then on the time back, they learned, okay, now we can actually back up. We know the TP's coming. We know it's going to be. We're not going to get caught out again. And they didn't get caught out.
Some decent Overwatch here. It's a 2-0, though, as the smoke clears, favoring Virtus.pro. A chance here for SRP Check to select another map that hopefully lends itself to the Ryan comps. Stick around, folks. We've got more of this first series after the break. All right, there is your map pool. And if you're SRP Check, folks, you are crunching the numbers to find the best arena to bring this Ryan Hot comp into, to try and steal a map away, if not start off what could be a reverse sweep. Remember, a lot on the line in this matchup between Virtus.pro and SRP Check. The winner will exit this group in first place and also won't have to play any more of those matches to sneak through. They can sit back, keep an eye on their opposition, and probably start to prepare for some of the top teams from the other groups. Those would include Spacestation Gaming, ENCE, and Twisted Minds. So a lot to keep an eye on, Kevin, if you're looking to make a deep run into the main event.
If you want to see the Cloudy versus Hardy matchup square up on the Rhine between SRP Check and SSG, you need to see SRP Check escape these groups in the top 2. And a good way to do that would be to get a reverse sweep now. And in order to get a reverse sweep, I do believe Hybrid should be the next choice for SRP Check. You want to remove the capability of the eventual Paraíso pick coming through from VP. So you don't really care that much, I think, if you are SRP about Flashpoint or Push, so leave those towards last. Those will end up being picks used by the side of Virtus Pro if you do start to win some maps, but you don't want to leave your hybrid pool open, so go straight to hybrid. I was going to suggest something like an Eichenwald, but honestly, Kings Row also works here. You just want to avoid Paradiso at all cost.
Eichenwald does leave you subject to the Pharah, some parts of that map especially. Getting Kings Row
as well, though.
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah, that's a decent point. But looking at the pool here, it's probably the best Shrine map that you can play. It's still not amazing, honestly. Many of these hybrid maps, I mean, Paradiso is definitely an absolute no-go for a comp like this. I don't think I have to double check, but do we see Midtown in the pool?
No, see, that's the problem, right? Because it's give and take here. You don't have Ilios in the pool, which is good for you, but then you don't have Midtown, which is bad for you, because that's a good Rhine map. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some.
All right. We will, of course, see Virtus Pro sticking to this Ramatra comp. It gives Rajaro definitely some windows and an edge against Cloudy in some cases, but he definitely has the harder side of the matchup and has to play pretty carefully.
Yeah. It's just about living. You know, you just don't want to be in a Sigma. You don't want to be something that is brittle enough to the Rhine. You have to survive the onslaught. You have to survive the initial TP. And what better way to survive it than just hold your arms up in Nemesis form, reduce all damage, and just pray to God, pray to Kaneo that the lamp's going to come through, the pocket healing for your double supports is going to be there, while Sauna and Shockwave clean up on an off angle. That's the play. And when we talk about SIP, it's kind of one-tricking a comp, but guess what? VP are also one-tricking a comp, just that their one's working a lot better right now.
Absolutely. Gala's been able to find some pretty huge eliminations here, and oh, they're ready for Sauna. He very quickly is able to get out of there, thanks to the changes to Farah. Otherwise, that would not have been possible. Here's a TP, though, straight away from SRP Check. They get that pie ground now, then they've assumed the defender's position. This is where Virtus Pro start to sweat a little.
But you haven't really denied the high ground, because look at there, Sauna can get back on any time. Gala has high ground control as well. We've just swapped the map. We've swapped the map entirely.
Cloudy takes a big hit, though, and honestly, the Farah looks fine here on the attacking side if you can get out of that initial spawn area. Sauna can now start to threaten here, and there's nowhere that SRP Check can play from that is particularly safe, except the hotel, which they eventually have to leave. It's not the bloody Hotel California. It's the Alderworth Hotel. Completely different.
He's the one that they can actually kill.
And Cloudy gets picked up there. Eventually he has to emerge, right? No choice. Beautiful stuff from Gala. I'm going to pick up Daned. We look to be making a TP play to try and threaten some of those backliners here. And even though SRP Check flipped the map here, Kevin, Virtus Pro is still able to outmaneuver them.
Well, that's because you just can't actually out-rotate Virtus Pro. You only have one TP at a time. It's got a long enough cooldown that Virtus Pro can always out-rotate you. And guess what? You take all the high ground away, you still have to drop at the point at some point. And that's when Sauna, Shockwave, Gala get straight back on the high ground immediately. So you just lose that.
Ghost down, got picked off. I think he was just lingering towards the back of the pack, Kevin, and now it's awkward. SRP Check have to abort. Use a TP to get them out to safety, but I use that with air quotes. They're still in danger here playing inside this building. Sauna moves up. And you can see SRP Check throwing up these, some of these sim turrets saying, okay, if you push us, we're going to try and punish you. But this is definitely scary for the attackers.
They need a window on the point at this stage. They need something where they can have eyes on the point itself, challenge Rajaro, force a couple of ticks to go away. And until you at least have some sort of buy-in, like, the sim wall to lock off angles, it's going to be tough. Oh, they lose Ghost.
What is the wall doing down there? The air matrix on the ground. I think Ghost got knocked back by a conch, killed in midair, and I think he just was trying to set up a window that went horribly awry.
Yeah, no, he must have clicked the window at the same time the conch arrived, so Sauna just entirely outplayed him. You're just being ripped apart here in terms of your rotations. You're losing on rotation. That's the problem playing up against a poke that has such good high ground control as well, and they have superior ultimates here, and you don't have a shadow yet. You need to find something like a shadow to get a kill.
Again, there had to be a self-lamp here for Ghost. At least this time, the difference is he stays alive. But fine, not nearly as lucky. The Captive Sun just ripped through him. Gala more than happy to take an individual kill. SRP Check are in dire straits on Kings Row. And that's an understatement, potentially. They are getting absolutely flattened.
They're going to get full held, rather. Virtus Pro, they're losing a couple members now, at least. It's trades. Trades are important. Can SRP Check get the spawn advantage? So Cloudy's going to be the last to respawn here. If you can speed up, maybe, but Shockwave's back. He's going to start running in. Bob is always going to be there for the retake, and retakes are still pretty good for VP. The good news for SR Peak Check is at least they're coming up on the Shadow. At least they have Blizzard and the wall as well. This is usable to actually fight the point.
Yeah, they have the Mayball as well to lock Virtus Pro into a choke if they do give up too much ground. But Danad is already picked off. He was able to get the wall up, that's fine. But now SRP Check are back in trouble. They're forced to play inside this small enclosed space. Out of the open. And that does mean that there's a lot of value to be gained here by Sauna. And SRP Checker, a player down, a player who could be interrupted on his way over. Danad to switch to the Soldier 76.
He's already been 1v1 by Canale. He's being locked out right now. He can't rotate to his allies at all. So no more TPs here. Yeah, he's gone.
Straight up died to a bat. That's power creep for you, folks. Now that's Cloudy at least having to return to the point. Now with the shatter of Rajaro. Oh man, he just gives him the soul read. Sees the shatter coming in. The shield is there instantly. And Virtus Pro are going to absolutely dominate SRP Check on this first half.
Oh man. I'll tell you what, Mitch. Eichenwald A is not going to have these problems, but B I'll admit is a little problematic. But A, I think Eichenwald would have been a better choice here. Kings Row, you just can't out-rotate VP. Look at the round of... look at all the high ground. You have an entire circle, basically a semicircle at least, of high ground on this 8-point defense. You can never actually catch anybody in terms of stopping them from using the high, because both of the flex supports, guess what? They have the capability of jumping up the high ground. Both of the DPS capability of jumping up the high ground. The only immobile character the VP play is Rajaro on the ramp, but his entire job is to sit pretty on the point and make sure he's blocking it, staying alive, holding his arms up for the damage block so the rest of his team can get off angles. In SR Peak Check, you're going to get one TP at a time, and you can never out-TP Virtus Pro. You can flip the entire map, but eventually VP, they get the high ground again, and you saw that every single time. Once they reset, every rotation, somebody dies. Ghost dead again, Ghost dead one more time, Ghost getting hit by a conk, losing his window. Cronus, 4-man beat. Cloudy, shatter into Rajaro's shield. Well read by Rajaro. No ultimates from SR Peak Check ended up finding value, sadly.
And that conk was coming out every time, and you can't do much about it. If you're SR Peak Check, you are going to get hit by the concussive blast if it's timed correctly by the Farah. And then disperse, and when you're trying to, TP up to high ground, it can knock some of your players down. Yes, Bap has the exo boots to let him get up, but it's that window, the 1 to 2 second window where you're split for the rest of your team. That is the difference between life and death. Well, we have a Farah Echo composition here. Sorry, Mercy Echo, excuse me. It's because I've not uttered that phrase in so long. So Virtus Pro here, showing us something a little different.
I don't remember the last time I seen a Mercy. It's been too long. I've basically not seen a Mercy in Overwatch 2 competitive pro play at all. So a little bit of uncharted territory here. And it's not even with a Fire, it's with the Echo of all characters, which is a little interesting.
I can't tell if it's like a Spanish thing and Gala's trying to pay homage to Neptuno. Either way, they're just going to walk on the point. Okay, SRP Check. You know what? I'm okay with that. Not paid by the word anyway. It will be a confident win here on Kings Road. SRP Check barely able to contest in those final moments. And a 3-0 series for Virtus Pro. It's a match that we highlighted. It's probably the most interesting of our opening games of this weekend. And I think it delivered in that sense. We had some close maps, but Kings Row was anything but.
And now it's kind of opened the door, I think, for some other teams as well. If, the future games for SR Peak Check, because they still have to play through the rest of this group. You have essentially a blueprint handed to you where, okay, this is how you beat SR Peak Check, this is how you beat the Rhine comps. And we didn't even go to, by the way, the big counter match. There was no Dorado, there was no Pana Isa, there's not even a situation.
They never played dive against this.
Where, you didn't even see them really go to a bad map, per se. They all had pretty good Rhine maps.
If you're losing to a Ramatra comp, there is no reason to play Rhine. There is just no reason.
I just gotta say,
you have to play something else.
After Circuit Royale, I was like, man, I'm excited. It's finally getting really close. And then we go to Kings Row. It was just, it was rough for SRP Check. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. I mean, Mitch and Kevin as well, you guys mentioned is Virtus Pro taking the win 3-0. Let's take a look at some highlights and let's talk about this match, because I think starting off the match, was. From the get-go was Virtus Pro, and like you guys mentioned, it was they didn't have to use a dive. They came out with a ramp composition. I feel like they were very ready for SRP Check.
I think so. I mean, this is also a team that you can hear coming from miles away. Like, if you get told you're playing against LH Cloudy, you know exactly what you're in for. But, I mean, Cloudy will play Ryan, and not only that, but the whole team comp will be designed to try and facilitate for this Ryan. Like, it's not just there's a Ryan, it's like this team is Ryan. And again, like we saw like a mecha base, which can benefit Ryan in some ways. I thought the Circuit Royale strats were great. I think like there's a lot of room for making use of the sim TPs, just like the old London team actually started doing on Gibraltar and got the Shock to copy them that year. That was quite a lot of fun. So you do have great options here. It is a very high map, but this last fight here was great from Rajaro. I mean, going around the M Matrix seems very obvious, and it is, but that is the win condition for Virtus Pro here. Really kept a cool head in a very tight scenario with close margins.
To me, it was really about mecha base. I think that was when you start to get the first real look at can they win with the Ryan comp versus this poke. And if you're not going to win on mecha base, I don't know that it gets necessarily that much easier. Yes, they did play very well on Circuit, but again, we talk about a situation where they never even had a bad map per se. It's Kings Row Circuit. These are reasonable maps for Ryan, and they just couldn't get it done. Kings Row especially was just way too ugly. I mean, I got a little bit of insight from the server itself, and after the first attack, Shockwave says that is some inspirational Overwatch, and Cloudy says, lucky win, guys. Next time you won't be this lucky. So that was after the first attack.
Lucky. I mean, to say that I was lucky, I mean, I do, like I said, I think, you know...
I mean, he's Finnish, so it's sarcasm.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
but it's pretty funny. I mean, yeah, Virtus Pro, though, very, I think, you know, deserving of the win, and you know, just the DPS lineup as well. They're very surprising. I think they got some really good DPS players as well.
I think at this level of play, if you are a team that says we have no choice but to play this one comp, I don't even want to see you getting out of this group. And if you do get out of this group, it's because your opponents are not good enough to actually exploit a very glaring weakness that your roster has. I love these players, and I've known Cloud as a player for years, but like this is not good enough for this team if they want to be a factor in the main event.
I think, though, in this particular group, SR Picture have already beaten Exo Oblivion. Super Shy might fall prey to them as well, because not everyone can do what VP can do. You've Gala play the match here, and one of the specialties for Gala is the Ilaria. I don't think everybody in this group, or even in this region, can necessarily bring that to bear. And it's not even just the one hero of the Ilaria, it's the combination of the double flex support, which is seemingly a little bit of a rarity across quite a few different teams. And even if you can play Q, execute can be as good as Gala was in this particular matchup, right?
Looking at EMEA, like I still genuinely think that like there are only a few teams that can actually beat this comp. I think the most interesting matchup to me, based on like relative power level, would be a Gaming Gladiators versus SR Peak Check match. Because yeah, there's a question to me is like, are they? Because they looked pretty awful yesterday against Twisted Minds. Unfortunately, they did not seem to be themselves, and they are still bouncing back, I think, after a bit of a rough run in Riyadh. But the SRPG team is probably going to get out of the group. They probably will. But, you know, you want to hope that they're going to be able to get more in their repertoire. They won't. Unless they sort of add a tank player or have someone to play alongside Cloudy and give them another look, another option. They're probably just going to look like this all the way through.
Do you feel like, I mean...
It depends, you know. Can the other teams actually execute? Can Exo and Super Shy execute versus the SRP? I think they're going to get skill checked.
They're the gatekeepers, man.
Yeah, Mitch, you did say you felt like SRP Check is going to move out of groups. Do you think like any other teams are probably, after watching their match against like today, do you think other teams are going to sort of copy, or you know, can other teams do what Virtus Pro did to SRP Check, or was this because Virtus Pro was so much better?
Yeah, so like knowing what to do against this team is one thing, right? Like the theory about playing against a Ryan comp has kind of been around for a long time, but it's actually being able to do it. You know, and be able to respond quickly as a unit to what they're doing. Circuit Royale is a great example of this. There's these like these sim TPs that will appear like with a moment's notice, and you have to immediately as a Pharah look there and get ready to conquer, or at least start shooting at it, right? So you must be very quick to respond, and you need to have a good idea of what the win con of the Ryan team is. So the theory is really simple, but the actual execution, while you're also trying to fight against 4 other people, is not nearly so easy. And you saw multiple times even a team of the Carter Virtus Pro got taken by surprise by the SRP Check TP plays, and weaker teams are just gonna get absolutely rolled by it. So you know, I think this speaks more to just how good Virtus Pro are, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.